had a few questions on how to analyze the data from your survey. So let's just take a look at the instructions for your final project. And if we look at question number 4, summarize the results. For the summary statistics, you're going to need to download the data and then take it into Minitab to get the mean and the median and so forth. That's going to be on a quantitative variable. I'll show you an example from my ice cream survey where I use the age variable. The closed-ended questions, you can actually use the graphs that come out of the survey tool. If you download the report, you've got pie charts in there. There's also an option to change those to bar graphs if you prefer. So those you can use right from the report from the survey tool. And then also for the hypothesis testing, you have to identify at least to conduct one hypothesis test. And I'm going to show you how to do proportion test and then also a test of the mean. So I've already downloaded my data and I've already got it in Minitab. And here's my report here. And if you remember my questions, I asked people what brand they preferred, what flavor they preferred, what was their political affiliation, what was their age. So the questions that I want to test, the hypotheses, one of them was on the flavor, and I said I expected more than 40% of respondents will select chocolate. And I'm going to let P be the proportion who prefer chocolate. Now the data that you're going to need to conduct this hypothesis test in Minitab is, first of all, write your hypotheses, and then from your survey data, we want to get how many people preferred chocolate. So if I go and I look at my survey here, 15 people selected chocolate out of a total of 31. All right, so I've got that summarized over here. And so when I go to Minitab, this is a pretty easy one to do. Go to Basic Stats, and it's one proportion. And what you're going to do here is when you first open this up, it's going to show this option here, one or more samples from each in one column. We don't want to do that. We want to do it this way. We want to do summarize data. And like I just showed you, I had 15 people who said they preferred chocolate out of 31 total. And then down here, I'm going to, and normally this will not be clicked. You're going to click it, and then I put in the 0.4 because that was my hypothesized proportion. And then if I click on options, here's where I can give the alternative. And in my case, I'm going to do a greater than. And I'm also going to select the normal approximation. It's a better test to do. And then say, OK, OK. And here's my output. It tells me that my sample proportion was 48.4%. Here's a lower bound on a 95% confidence interval. Here's my z-value, my test statistic, and there's my p-value, not very small. So in this case, I would fail to reject the null. I can't conclude, although numerically more than 40% selected, it's not statistically significant. All right, and then let's go to the other hypothesis that I was going to test, and that was on the age of the respondents in my survey. And I expected the average age to be more than 29 years. So I'll let mu be the average age of the respondents. And here's my hypothesis. The null is that it's equal to 29 versus greater than. Now this one I'm actually going to use the data in my survey in the Minitab file. So I'm going to go to Stats, Basic Stats, one sample T. And I've got the data that I've got is just the age variable, and I've got one or more samples, each in a column. I'm going to do just a one sample. I'm going to do hypothesis test, and I was hypothesizing the mean was 29 years of age. And again, my options here, not equal to, I want to do a greater than. I hypothesize the mean age would be greater than. I say OK and OK. And here's my output. So the mean age of my sample was 32.6 years. Here's my t-statistic, 2.38, and my p-value is pretty small, so I can say that I have evidence to support the alternative that in fact the mean age is greater than 29 years. And also remember in here, going back to graphing, we have graphing options here for a histogram. You might want to do a box plot. I might do a box plot on my age data. Pick my age data, and I've got a box plot coming out there. But you've got some options in here if you want to do some additional graphing besides what was provided. If you wanted to do a histogram, for instance. Let's do a histogram real quick. And I'm going to do a simple histogram, and I'm going to do it on the age variable select. You've got some options here. I don't think we really need to change anything for this one. But if I wanted to use that histogram, I notice there's one outlier here. There's somebody who's 55 years of age. But here's my histogram. So hopefully this will help you as you're coming to finalize your report for the final project.